Go. We're back into gameplay now. All right, now we're playing with gas. I'll have to monitor the chat from my phone then. Speaking of which, let me go get out the Twitch. Not the Twitch. We are on Twitch. Let me get out there to Twitter to let everybody know that we are on the air. And you can follow us on Twitch at ArcheoRPG if you are not currently already following us. Over there to keep up with our schedule. Because we are a group of working archaeologists, our schedule is subject to change. We try to broadcast every Thursday, but it switches back and forth between Twitch and YouTube at the moment. YouTube is our home for more of our talk show, where Twitch, as we are right here, is more of our gaming home. If this is your first time here, welcome. We're sort of a collective of archaeologists who are also interested in gaming. And we started this a few months ago to sort of get things out. This channel in particular, the gaming channel you're looking at right now, is the eventual home for a live play Dungeons & Dragons series. We're going to be adapting the Pool of Radiance module from Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition and live playing that. I'll begin beginning in September. But until then, until we count down, until that fateful moment, we are going to be playing Dungeons & Dragons video games here on the channel until we get there. And today we are going to an old school game right now. We are playing Pool of Radiance. Now, what is Pool of Radiance? Pool of Radiance is a computer game from 1988, published by Strategic Simulations Incorporated, SSI. This game is noteworthy because it's the first adaptation of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, the tabletop role-playing game, to a home computer, which is kind of a big deal at that time. And this is still true as back in 1988 as it was in 2019. Your best systems, your most rad systems, were going to be PC rather than consoles. Even though they didn't call them PCs as much back then. That's your MS-DOS system. PC, I guess, was still a term at the time. Macs had just only been around for a couple of years. So, with all that said, let's just sort of get into it, and I'll throw out little historical tidbits. I'm an archaeologist, what am I to do? Especially with a game like this, with sort of a long, old pedigree like this. So, to make things easier on everyone's part, i.e. me, I'm going to go ahead and load a preloaded party. I got A, and I think that's J or an I. So we will go with the A party. A team. A team, go. All right. We are now presented with a hallway with our party. Threndar, Groan, Bakshi, Riona, Brother Shane, Dark Star, and Phineas. But no Ferb. Let's see. Threndar is a dwarf, a noble good fighter. Oh, I can do coming all this way. We're trying to get introduced to our party first before we start adventuring. Because these are level 1s. They have pretty bad armor class. And they have really bad hit points. So they'll probably be dead soon, so might as well get introduced to them. Bakshi. Who is Bakshi? Bakshi's a half-elf. Wow, half-elf, level 1, and already multi-classing. Man, do I miss those days of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. Nowadays, you would know this as 2nd edition. These would be the 2nd edition rules. But at this point, this is the 2nd edition of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, which would have come out just a year before this game did. I believe it came out in 87. It's not part of my notes, but I want to say it's 87. At least that's what I can remember it being part of. So he's a cleric, fighter, magic user. So yes, we are at a time in Dungeons and Dragons where there is no wizard, warlock, sorcerer. They are all just magic users. Let's see who Rihanna is. A true neutral. See, nowadays it just says neutral, but then it was true neutral. Fighter, magic user, an elf. So you could see, if you've ever played second edition Dungeons and Dragons, you'll be familiar with sort of the settings here. If you're more familiar with like fifth edition, you're going to see some weird stuff on here. The weirdest thing you're going to see is, I don't know if my cursor shows up on the screen, but it is a thing called THACO, THACO, with a 20. That is to hit armor class 0. Armor class goes down in second edition Dungeons and Dragons. So if you have a negative armor class, you actually have a better armor class, and if your armor class is positive or higher positive, that's there, because everything is rated on hitting armor class 0, and then you adjust from there. It's complicated. For this game, we're going to let the computer worry about it, and unless you're playing second edition or first edition, it's not something you'll ever have to worry about. So it's more trivia than anything else. All right, so that's Rihanna. Let's go see Brother Sheen. Let's see what Brother Sheen has. All right, Brother Sheen is a lawful good cleric. There's a lot of lawful good folks on here, which is interesting considering nowadays in 5e, people don't like playing lawful good. It's just too restrictive of a class. But obviously, we're also playing a computer game, so we're not going to get the same subtlety that we do nowadays in our more modern iterations. Nothing too special about him. We move on. Let's see Darkstar. He sounds edgy. I misgendered her, and I am sorry. She sounds edgy. She's a neutral good magic user. So, an interesting thing about magic users, you see there, she's a magic user, and she has a level 1 spell, Sleep. That is her only spell. If anyone's familiar with playing Dungeons and Dragons, you're used to cantrips and sort of other spell slots and things like that. Back here, you got one spell, you got one shot. So those darts that are sort of a useless thing for most magic, for most wizards and other type of magic folks in 5e, are vital at this level. And then we have Phineas, our halfling thief, going back to the homage of where this stuff is sort of lifted from, Tolkien and his world, where the halfling burglar. And so, yeah, we don't have the rogue. There is no rogue. We have a thief back at this point right now. The rogue does not exist. And so we have our halfling. So now that we've been introduced to the party, we might as well get started. Let's see. So that's where we came in from, wherever. So what's the general story here? So we are playing in the Forgotten Realms portion of Dungeons and Dragons, if anyone's familiar with that. So right here, we're helping out the city of Phlan, Phlan, which is located on the northern shores of the Moon Sea, along the Barren River between... I got erased. So anyway, it's an ancient trade city, has fallen under and become a ruin, the old city of Phlan, and those who are trying to revive New Phlan are looking for adventurers to sort of clean the place out, collect loot and treasure, kill all the baddies that are inside of it so that they can revitalize this town. So basically it's it's colonialism in the game. We're moving into an area. We're trying to push out the people, or maybe it's gentrification in the game. We're moving in. We're trying to push some people out, and we're trying to then move on from there. Because currently, right now, only a small portion of the town is inhabited by humans, i.e., the good people, who are surrounded by evil creatures. So, an interesting thing about this game is you can see from here, there's not much lore going to be told in a game like this. Even though it is interesting that you have. So, this 15-4 is sort of placing yourself on the grid. If I were to look up area, that's where we are on this grid. W means we're facing west. 1050 is our time. So it gives us sort of vital information within this world. So we are going down the hallway where there is a door on the south wall. If I was DMing this, would be a sort of a way to describe this. Still not sure how much those areas, those blocks, those rectangles are occupied spaces or just filled spaces. I mean, that's the point of exploring, isn't it? So, see anything else before we hop on in? Proper like? No, I think we just need to dive right on in and see if they can survive their first encounter. Okay, that's relatively easy. Alright, so we're moving around. Alright, we got our first encounter. We got some orcs. Oh, they're arguing over some papers. I bet we want those papers. So, alright, so to make things easier on myself, because really that's what's most important during this, I'm going to let them, my party, do combat on their own. I trust them. You know, this band I've put together, I've known for years, including Brother Shane. He's like a brother to me. I trust them enough to go into combat. So, go for it. Oh, bam. Oh, misses. Misses. Yes, 2 points of damage there. Gone. Miss. Gone. You tell their team. What? Who went down? Why can no one hit this one guy? We got one guy left. Alright, do we do it in combat? No. I said no! Alright, let's go down back sheer. Oh, let's do the cleric scroll. Sweet. Alright. Okay. See what kind of items. Below a cure right. Hit points 0 items. Alright, Need to heal my boy right here. My boy. My boy, yes. Gotta keep track of these folks. She's a brother. Good. Oh, good brother can cast. Thank you. Select. That's who I want to be. Partially healed. That's fine. That's fine. Exit. Don't waste them all right now. All right. Oops. Darn it. Flee. Battle begins anyway. No, not Phineas. So you can see right here, I mean, just remember, this is 1988. This is, other big games during this time period are things like Zork, sort of text-based, which, to be fair, those text-based games are a little more in-depth without having to work on any of the graphics. But to sort of visually be able to play a game like this is sort of a marvel for that time. And, of course, part of that is I'm looking at this thing with my rose-tinted nostalgia glasses, because in 1988 I was in high school, and I remember after making enough money at my part-time job, walking over to the mall, over to the Babbage's, if anyone even remembers that place. All right, sweet. Alright, poor Phineas. Okay, let's see if Brother Shane can do his wonders again. So everyone's looking a little worse for wear right now. So maybe encampment might not be the worst idea at the moment. 1, it allows me to save the game. Which game? B. We're going to switch over to the B team. No, we're not quitting the DOS. We're going to rest. How many days? Let's go for hours. Let's go for like 8 hours. So it's interesting, the controls for this are basically the number pad. Pretty much everything I'm doing on this game, I am doing strictly on the number pad, I think. You might be able to see, if I put this in front of my face, that it's all number pad controls for this. So, kind of weird. All right, let's rest for 8 hours. I'm rudely interrupted. Cobalt! You see a slick animation there of that cobalt? Well, your cute animation is not going to be good enough. However, why are there always so many of these people? It's always like, it's not fair. Gosh. No one can hit each other. Gosh. deep into the action. Oh, and my teammate's dying. You will not go unavenged. So, add a little bit of history as we're watching the combat kill that kobold. It was in June 1988 that this game was originally published on the Amiga, the Apple II, the Commodore 64, for MS-DOS, Microsoft DOS, and the PC 9800, for anyone who's interested in that. Okay, encampment's not going to work. Let's see, magic. Need to memorize. The only one who really needs to memorize spells is going to be the good brother. Oh, Bakshi's the one with the scroll. Let's try to finish off our rest. Okay, good. I've now made it a little further. If you remember, we were sort of in the eastern wall of that area, so now we're entering more the northern. And we have three options. Door number 1 takes us north, door number 2 is the big room to the south, and door number 3 is that room at the end of the western wall. Hall. Let's go with door number 1 first. Oh, pick failed. So let's bash it. Healthy looking goblin. Wow. So there's also sort of the limited color of this era, but it's still weird seeing a goblin that sort of orange on there. So the reason I'm even playing this today, as I mentioned, all those systems that are out there aren't systems you have available today. GOG.com released Pool of Radiance, and a lot of the other this whole era is called the Gold Box series back in 2015. It is part of the Forgotten Realms, the Archives Collection 2 from that time period. Darn it, I didn't revive good Bakshi. I hope he's not dead. That's 8 of them. This not cool. Like, totally not cool at all. Like, they all have shields and maces and stuff. Alright, who's going down next? Thank goodness. Why is magic usually use nothing? Are they already out of darts? Come on. This is very tense because this party is like on the verge of wiping like every second. There's Phineas. Whew, took their leader out. Oh, come on, you guys should quit now. I'm thinking you guys should just totally quit right now because your leader was killed. That is a smart thing to do at this point. Surrenders, surrenders. Come on. Surrender. Whew. No. Well, that's a big one. Ooh, my. All right. Take, exit. Take, exit. Take, exit. Take, exit. Take, exit. Take. Shield I'm leaving there to figure out who's going to be best with the shield. They're not going to let me do that because they're going to make me leave this, so I better take my shield now. All right. Let's get some healing done. Okay. We're going to do some management here. Because it doesn't give me the stats on it, though, so 1d6 plus 1. I know this is very very thrilling, but welcome back to the 80s. You watch your Stranger Things. 1d6 plus 2, so this is a better weapon. Let's see what the armor. My armor class right now is 1. Armor class now is 4, so I was better with the bandit. So might benefit from a shield, though, so something to think about. Actually, I know it would benefit from it. Shit. Let's get a shield. I think a flail's a one-handed. Yep. That moves my armor class down to 0. So there. Good. That was an upgrade. So, let's try to encamp again. Brother Shane needs to memorize some more Cure Light wounds. Alright, so back she can memorize a spell. So that's good. No spells to be memorized over here. We did this one already. No spells to be memorized over here. And no spells to be memorized. So let's try... Okay, so 4 hours, 30 minutes is going to get us to the minimum I need to get all those up. But I need some extra time to heal. Alright. Let's rest and see what happens. Okay, it doesn't really look like it made any dent in my other stuff. Oh, I should save the game, though. We are the B team. No, we're not quitting a DOS. Alright. So we are up here in the north room. That was definitely the right choice. Let's try the big room to the south and see what we get. Angry orcs. Let's parley. Good sirs, the battle begins. Well, I guess that parley didn't work. The parley always work. So what made this game sort of also interesting is that because this was an attempt to fully adapt Dungeons & Dragons, not Phineas. Phineas keeps dying. Phineas, my boy. It included, when you were packaged with it, one, it was a gold box. Included multiple discs inside of it. Because, heck, this game required 2 megabytes of space on your hard drive in 1988. So, of course, it came with multiple discs. Whew. That's a lot of stuff. Let's go back to Brother Sean. Casting some Cure Light wounds to get our boy Phineas back up. Totally needs Ferb with him because he's a wreck otherwise. Ooh. You have entered a stone-lined room. You're headed further south. Gotta bash that door. It's a wizard. Let's talk. Let's be nice about it, even though we did just smash in your door. Ooh. Oh, all we gotta do is find a potion and bring it back to him. Easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. All right, speak my name. Olo. How rude. All right. So he says to the southeast. We are facing east. So I guess we'll start working our way. Find some way to get to the southeast. Let's try to pick it first. Just bashing doors. Uh-oh. Let's get out of here. I think I'm supposed to be outside now. It's hard to tell. That's one of the problems with a game like this. I'm not in a dungeon all the time. I think I am walking around a city. And I'm entering different buildings. Sort of where your map comes into place. You probably also wouldn't hurt to use some of that old school D&D mapping technique, where you would take a piece of graph paper. You stupid kobolds. Ooh, I've surprised them though. Okay, let's be abusive to them. Let's be good. We're gonna kick your butt. Oh. All right. Apparently, speaking aggressive to a group of kobolds is the way to do it. See, not every encounter needs to be a fight. How rude. Whoa, whoa, whoa. All right. So, needless to say, I only try to get the rest of my any talking points I had for tonight out of the way, because I have a feeling this might be the TPK. Let's see what else we got going on here. So, Strategic Simulation Incorporated, SSI, was founded in 1997 by some wargaming enthusiasts and made their first claim to fame with publishing war games, World War II type games and things like that. TSR, Tactical Studies Rules, was the original publisher of Dungeons and Dragons. It's a company that was co-founded by Gary Gygax, one of the co-inventors of Dungeons and Dragons. Advanced Dungeons and Dragons was sort of split up with some of his other previous business partners. It was called Advanced to sort of try to differentiate it enough for copyright concerns. That would later be solved, and it would go back to being called Dungeons and Dragons. But at this time, TSR was the main publisher of Dungeons and Dragons. They also published a Marvel role-playing game and a Buck Rogers game, which, if I can find a Buck Rogers game, that would be worth playing. I might play that over on my own channel, Archeo Thoughts. Just from the nostalgia factor there. It was a game I loved as a kid. So I was going to mention before that the game comes with a 28-page instruction booklet, which describes sort of the secrets related to the game, concepts behind it. It was very in-depth. It was almost like a mini summarized version of the player's handbook. for players. It also included an adventurer's journal, which sort of gave the backgrounds of the game, some of the maps of the areas, the towns, sort of the rumors that one would hear, and so forth. And it also included something we didn't do at the beginning of this game because we had the option not to, an early sort of copyright protection for this game is that it included a decoder wheel. You were given a cipher at the beginning of the game, and you had to use your decoder wheel to translate it. That was sort of a very, very early version of DRM to sort of try to combat piracy. It doesn't work that well because it's a simple cipher and could easily be decoded. This game here, Pool of Radiance, is the first of a four-game series where these games don't really work. I'll explain in a second. So, the next game to be published, D&D game, would be in 1989, The Curse of Azur's Bond. The Secrets of the Silver Blade is published in 1990, and the real direct sequel to Pool of Radiance, Pools of Darkness, is released in 1991. In 1989, there was a novelization of Pool of Radiance, also called Pool of Radiance, by James Ward and Jane Cooper Hong, published by TSR. There was a module published by TSR, and it was not called Pool of Radiance, and I forget now, and it's not on my notepad. Shame on me for that. And back in 2014, IGN ranked Pool of Radiance, the game you're seeing here, as the number 3 on their list of top 11 Dungeons & Dragons games of all times. And I think that's mostly, and I would say, argue, rightfully so, its place in history in terms of like Dungeons & Dragons video games. This is the first attempt to do real Dungeons & Dragons in a digital environment, and that has sort of been the process ever since. When you're now living in the age where here on Twitter, you can sort of live play games, it sort of overcomes a lot of the problems that are real evident here with the Dungeons & Dragons game. The core is still the same. You have maps, you walk through, there are random encounters. Sometimes you can talk your way out of them, sometimes it involves combat. Depending on the luck of the dice, sometimes you win that combat, sometimes you don't. So, with enough narrative flair, with the storyline going on here, it could easily be something that you could do on a tabletop and make something, give this to the hands of a Matt Mercer, and you would think this is a super challenging thing. The graphics here are sort of older and more mundane, but with sort of the nostalgia of retro gaming, I don't think that's a bad thing nowadays. And considering, this is exactly how it looked in 1988 for a PC game, to sort of give you a hint on those types of things. So we are down now to a valiant last two standing. They are the last of the 300 at Thermopylae, with the Persian horde trying to get through the door behind them. But Threndar and who else is standing? They are not going to abandon their friends. Or they're going to fall. See, but this is good for anyone who plays Dungeons & Dragons, sort of helping visualize sort of the problems of you're in a hallway, you're up against 20 people. Well, effectively, you're only against 4 at a time, maybe 5. Brother Shane. Good Brother Shane is the one holding up. He's going to be the last one to stand. Our good old Brother Shane. And this is also another problem. Anyone who's played any sort of strategy games know these kinds of things where you, especially when there's a lot of computer figures on there, So while we're doing that, we read a little bit from the Pool of Radiance Adventurers Journal. Free Newfoundland. The Newfoundland City Council is leading the fight to free their captive city. Heroes are retaking the city block by block from the evil hordes. Riches and fame. The council is looking for soldiers and rogues, mages and clerics, heroes of all kind to come to Newflane. The wealth and land of an ancient city await those willing to reach out and take it. See what I mean about the whole gentrification, colonialism thing? It's sort of written right there. Glory. Legends will be written about the heroic struggle to free Newfoundland. I mean, I'm writing the song of Brother Shane right now, for goodness sakes. Look at him. It's a beast out there. Name your children after him. Never forget Brother Shane. Ships to Newflane depart. No, Brother Shane. Brother Shane, we will never forget you. Remember, before you go to bed tonight, pour one out for Brother Shane. As the monsters rejoice, for the party has been destroyed. So with that, I think it's a good place to stop for tonight. I am very happy that we were able to actually play the game tonight. You can see I'm not the best player. I was letting it pretty much run in auto mode most of there, but I hope I was able to give you some insight in terms of some of the history behind this game and where it fits within the lore of Dungeons and Dragons. And so there. So if you are a follower of all things ArchaeoRPG, and by this point you should be, this coming Thursday over on our old YouTube channel at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, about the same time we're doing right now, will be our next episode of Still Digging, our chat show where we talk about archaeology, gaming, and all things in between and beyond. Next Thursday, the 22nd, this very show here, Rituals and Rolls, will be back into its regular slot at 8 p.m. on Thursday, the 22nd, at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We will play another Dungeons and Dragons game. We will most likely probably put a poll up sometime before that, maybe in the week, maybe next Monday. Put a poll up of a couple options for what different types of Dungeons and Dragons games, and we'll play that. We may have other members of the collective join me here to sort of chat as we play for that. And as I mentioned, in September on this very channel at twitchtv.com/ArchaeoRPG, our live play adaptation of I'm getting my games mixed up here, Tomb of Annihilation, will be coming, where I will be the Dungeon Master. We have 3 other archaeologists who are going to be joining me, and we are going to venture into the peninsula of Chult, and we are not there for fortune and glory, maybe, but to hopefully also to give some insight into these sort of tropes, archaeological tropes that get bandied about a lot. So this will not be Indiana Jones and Lara Croft. No. There'll be more complaining. So let's see. Any other housekeeping in mind? Yes. Follow us on pretty much all your social medias, your Facebook, your Instagrams, your Twitters, at ArchaeoRPG. We have a website, www.archaeorpg.com. And most importantly, if you like what you're seeing and you like what we're doing here at ArchaeoRPG, please become a patron. You can become a patron at www.patreon.com/ArchaeoRPG. If you become a patron, you'll get access to our Discord server where we have other conversations, sort of offline. We can answer your questions and so forth, sort of blending that world between archaeology and gaming. And things like that, or even pseudo-archaeology if you're following us over at Still Digging, we spend a little bit of time talking about pseudo-archaeology sort of every episode. So, once again, to become a patron, www.patreon.com/archaeorpg. And for the rest of the Archeo RPG Collective, I'm Archaeothoughts, Bill, Archaeothoughts, and we will see you next time. Thank you for joining us.